Well, good evening, race fans, and welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Happy New Year. We're back. Adam survived. The Mexican police let him come back to Canada. For some reason, the Canadian border guards let him in. So he's back. And wow, look at how white I am compared to you, tan boy.
I did get a little bit of color.
I need to shut off some lights around here. Is that better? There we go.
Oh, I was worried you couldn't hear me again because I got no reaction. But yeah, you do look pretty white. You know what, Clint? I'll tell you what. Right around December, I start feeling sickly. Like I look sickly. I need sunshine. I love the sunshine, man.
Welcome everybody back with us. We missed you guys. Hopefully you missed us. I just realized today when I was doing the rundown, December 7th was our last show. So it's been almost a month. I think in the 25 years we've been hanging out, buddy. This has probably been the longest we've ever been apart. We haven't had to see you, look at you, talk to you, or message you. I think we went a good few weeks there.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right, and I'm still making some adjustments here so I can be comfortable in what we've got going on. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe that's why I'm in such a good mood. But I shouldn't poke fun. But you know what? We did need that at the end of this season. I don't think none of us have stressed enough, and I think it's probably because we can't really put it into words. I'm only speaking for myself, but I have a feeling how mentally draining this season was, and I know that you put a ton of effort in, and Spencer puts a ton of effort in, and I know that Greg and I show up and try to do the best we can. So it kind of excuses the fact that we just get ugly around each other for the amount of energy that we're trying to put out, and we're not always channeling that energy down the same path as the others. Like we're all doing our own thing, and I know everyone's doing their best, but you get to those moments where I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I'm saying the break has been good. I'm ready to hit it again.
I'm with you. We do spend a lot of hours together, and just like any brothers or family, you got to get away after a little bit. We do have an action-packed show. As always, we're looking for your participation and involvement. So if you're out there watching us or participating along, feel free to message. I want to know what your best racing gift was. What did you get this year or in previous years? What's the best racing gift you ever got? Feel free to message that. That'll get some chat going. And we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, Adam. We've kind of flip the switch now into the new year. I know even me with my weekend planning hat on, it's time to start throwing out releases. And with that being said, I just got off the message, I guess you could say, with Greg Callanan and Tommy Gooch. The Pinty's Knights of Thunder website has just been updated, and all the releases out scheduled there. So when you're done with us, go check that out. It's Pinty's Knights of Thunder, knightsofthunder.com with a K. That's all ready to go. The new schedule's up, and check that out. We'll discuss that in depth next week. But another big thing came out in our neck of the woods, Adam. Flamboro's Pot of Gold, $50K to win enduro. They've been upping the ante, it seems, every year with the enduro payouts. You're a Flamboro homer. It's the place where you grew up and did your most racing, and the place where you would choose to hang out on your first choice to hang out at a race night. What does this mean for the Caselli family? Celebrating 50 years, massive payout, going to draw a lot of attention.
It is, Clinton, and let's back up. I don't think years of enduros have been leading up to this. I think this is the best way, and Doug Leonard might be watching, Gary Calling, I think, is watching. They can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the Caselli brothers, and I'm sure they had a lot of input, sat down to think, how can we do something big that gives back to our community? And when I say our community, I mean the people that you see at Flamboro Speedway week in and week out. They have put on big races. They have handed a ton of money to Junior Hanley in the day and other stars over the years of late models. This money is up for grabs. This money is open to so many people that have supported Flamboro Speedway for so long, and it's open to people who haven't supported Flamboro Speedway. This is the most attainable prize I can ever remember in motorsports. And that, I think we have to package it in a way that is that big. This is a huge deal.
Now, when you say attainable, you mean because any racer can go out and build this type of car you need. You don't necessarily need 30 years of a late model experience, or if they paid it safe for the hobby cars on a whim, or whatever the case may be. That's where you're going this, right, Adam? Like, this is everybody's got a shot at this, no matter what class you've supported Flamboro over the years, or been a part of that family, or even the pavement world here in Ontario alone, and race there at all. You get a shot at this for a car that's potentially around $1,000 or less. Right?
Exactly. It's presenting an opportunity to people. I was all set, Clinton. I was going to race in this damn thing, and then you reminded me that we're at Brighton. But I have a feeling the race shop that we race out of, I'll bet you there'll be at least 3 cars out of that shop that go to this event. There was only 1 last year. I'll bet you there'll be 3 this year. I'll bet you they have upwards of 300 cars.
Yeah, I think the one disappointment we have from our personal standpoint is we've already been pre-scheduled to be G-Force Live at Brighton that weekend. It was part of the Action Sprint Tour and Knights of Thunder series. So, man, can we start a petition now? Move it to Monday. # move it to Monday, and then we can all play too.
Yeah,
either way,
that's what I would love.
Yeah, selfishly, move it to Monday. We'll bring the live crew. We'll put it on live for you. But no, I think there's a lot of good things going on. Adam, I guess your previous statement kind of answers one of the questions I had regarding this. And some of the local teams that race there, late model teams said, well, wouldn't it be good if this was a 50K late model race? But that kind of answers what you were just saying. Why isn't it? Well, this is attainable for everybody, right?
So, okay. Let's say there's a $50,000 late model race to win. Last year at Flamboro's big money race, how many late models did they get? I think they got a full field. I think they had 26 cars. Make it $50,000 to win. I'll bet you don't clear 30 cars. It's the same players going to go out and race for the win. Your weekly supporters, your Rick Burbridges and your Kevin Albers, they're not going to be in the running for this money. I mean, maybe if you have the right kind of day, but it's just not going to happen for them. What they're doing, I mean, the enduros they've run are such a grassroots good time that I just think it makes sense.
It's kind of the same discussion we had about Jacasa, though, when they were paying these $125,000 to win, and they were going to keep increasing it year over year. And I had the discussion, and I was kind of the feeling, man, pay $50,000, but take that other $75,000 and put it into helping out the whole season. You could do amazing things with that kind of money. Like, man, I was fantasizing about winning the lottery because if I won it, man, imagine what you win $10 million. You take $1 million and put it into the Ontario racing industry. You could change lives for years with that kind of money. It's not a major amount, that it would take to make a huge difference.
For sure. And it's where you put it. Because there are entities in the Ontario racing community that make millions of dollars every year. I'm not saying in profits, but I'm saying millions of dollars pass through a lot of racing businesses every year. But you could take $1 million and really make a big difference. So as I say, good for them. I hope the crowd is huge. I'm pretty sure the car count's going to be huge. And it's an exciting thing. It's something that they can build towards. And as I say, Rodney Rutherford has a great shot. Rodney's fantastic at races like that. Who wouldn't want to see someone like that? How many race cars does Rodney Rutherford have?
Yeah, for sure.
He's got a hobby car. I think he might have a Pro 4. I think he's got an Oscar hot rod. Like, he races everywhere. He dabbles in everything. That's a racer's racer.
I guarantee he's going to have an enduro car.
Is it $500 to enter?
Yeah, so Adam, this is something you and I talked about too. And I said, okay, that's amazing, but how do you get there? And yeah, they announced it today, but that's for 10 crew. So it is driver, car, and 9 crew members. So it's basically $50 a person to get in, which isn't ridiculous for that kind of a payout.
Now, Rob Twitchett.
There's a catch. There's a catch. So let me finish the statement, Adam. $500 up until the deadline. After the deadline, I think it's car and driver for that amount. They're encouraging everybody, obviously, sign up and include your transponder as well for $500. So, you knew it was going to be a bunch. I mean, it wasn't going to be $25 to enter a $50,000 race. We knew that, right?
I happen to know that Rob Twitchett has an employer who will pay $500 in race car sponsorship because he does not like racing, but he thinks it's fair. And if his employees had a little league ball team, that's what he would give. So he would give that. You sell those tickets. I've got no issue with that plan. I'd still promote that every day. And this is something John Casali has wanted for a long time, because back before the time when John was getting better with talking to people and embracing the kind of support that he gets, he said, the racers really should be bringing the crowd. And I think he meant well by it, but it didn't come across very well, because it's like, no, the racers should be out selling tickets to our show. That's what draws the people. I think in spirit he was right. You want people to build that hype, but here he's putting his money where his mouth is, because if you get 100 people that can each sell 10 tickets, there's 1,000 tickets. You get 300 cars, there's 3,000 tickets.
I think it's more simple than that. If you pack the track with cars, you're going to pack the stands with people to be there and watch and participate and do all these other things. It's going to be a fantastic crowd Labor Day weekend. We wish them all the best, and I'm obviously we'll be following this story for the next 6 months as we lead up to it, or 9 months, another 8 months before we're there. So a lot of time to build up.
It'll be a lot of fun. I'm pretty pumped up for. We need to get Rob a link for tonight's show too.
He was emailed it.
Oh, was he? Frig, you're good. You guys are good.
You obviously don't follow your emails because there was a little bit of inside jokes going on there. You might want to check them after the show. We good with the pot of gold? Anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah, I had some. I didn't have something in my teeth. I had something in my gums, and I haven't eaten in an hour, so I don't know where.
Twitchett will be up later tonight, and he had asked where he could get. He said, "Gentlemen, I have a list of demands for my dressing room in the green room. Who do I send them to?" So I sent him back the colorful email where he could send his list of demands to be on tonight's program.
A retain. He wanted a retainer.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Rider.
All right. No rider required for our next guest. We'll bring him in. Terry Vince from Humberstone Speedway and ERD Racing Engines to talk about a few things going on in the Ontario Dirt Competition Committee on the dirt side. A lot of things have been happening there where we've been working on new options for the crate engine. Terry, welcome to the program.
Hi, nice to see you guys. Happy New Year.
Same to you, Terry.
Happy New Year, Terry. Great to see you.
So, Terry, let's talk about quickly the crate situation here in Ontario. First off, from the ODCC, very minimal changes coming down, very minimal adjustments to the rules. There'll be a full listing out starting this weekend prior to your meeting, so it'll probably be a release coming out in the ODCC Thursday or Friday, I'm thinking, which will list some of the stuff we're going to discuss here right now and all of the rule clarifications as we're in our final year of the locked-in package for the ODCC. Quickly, there's been some rumors about tires. The ODCC is endeavoring to get on one tire manufacturer and one compound going forward. So for now, the tire rule will not change for the teams for next year, but by the start of 2022 season, we'll have an announcement on where we're going with the tires. But why we have you on, Terry, is to talk about the engine program. Crate engines were brought in a few years ago, well, 15 or so years ago, at a cost to really cut down a lot of your business. You were an engine builder. At that time, a sportsman or street stock was spending considerable amount of money for what we consider to be an open. Crates were about $3,900. It was a big replacement for that. But we saw the problems with the crates. We saw the supply chain issues with them. We saw a lot of them being recalled. It was time to make some changes, Terry, and you kind of spearheaded this with the ODCC. What can you tell us about this new package, this new rebuild package that we're going to be announcing this week for the Ontario Dirt Competition Committee to get some of these crates back into competition?
Well, the first thing that we're going to do is we have a spec piston that's going to go into the engines that is a factory replacement for the 602. It'll be a spec part that'll be CNC ODCC on the top of it. The compression ratios are all standardized from a standard bore to a 20 to a 30 over, where 30 over will be the max. And basically, we're going to be doing an inspection with that with a camera through either the exhaust port or through the spark plug area. And then to verify the compression ratio. The next thing, biggest thing that's been a real problem is the camshafts in these things. And I'm guilty from tampering with these things too as well. But the camshafts going forward now will be engraved on the back side of it, ODCC. And I built some tooling to remove the rear cam plug to verify, there it is right there, to verify that it is the right camshaft in the engine. There's a lot of discrepancy. The tooling is out trying to check it from the outside. We can move the cams almost 4 degrees, and then the tooling that we're currently using won't pick it up. So this way it's cut and dry for the tech inspectors. Either you have the right piston or you don't. You have the right cam or you don't, and it's cut and dry. And there's a few other things in the tech areas of these engines that need to be addressed too as well. Just to keep it's important that we keep, when we open these up, to keep a good handle on it so it lasts a long time. And there needs to be no gray areas. Either you're good or you're no good.
Terry, and I think this is a great thing that you're doing. And I don't intend any disrespect. I've always been fairly hard on engine builders. So I'm really pleased to see you stepping forward. Where would the confidence come from? As you say, you bend rules because you know how things are teched. So you build things right to the max to try to get your customer every advantage you can get them. And I mean, you're in business. That's how you make money.
Correct.
What are the safeguards here to prevent that?
Well, camshaft wise, basically the cams will be all verified. So we'll be checking the cams on a cam doctor. So you don't have to put a new camshaft in your rebuild if you don't want to, but if you do, they're all going to be engraved. If you're currently going to be running the cam that's in the engine, it's going to be checked on a cam doctor to verify the specs are what they are, so they go back into the engine. So I want to get Mike Miller and my tech guys at Hummerstone, and I'm sure Clint's on the same page too as well. These things need to be looked at more on a weekly basis. I have a big plans for 3,000 New Win street stock races, and these things are going to be teched. I'm prepared to pull the heads off of them. You need to be looked at, and for the future of the sport and the life of our street stock division and even the sportsman cars, we need to get a handle on this. And right now, at the engines being almost $8,000, this is the time. I think this is the time to step up to the plate and allow our teams to rebuild these in order to keep the growth of the sport in the direction that it needs to go.
See, originally these were built to be a throwaway motor at $4,000. You know what I mean? Compare when guys were paying 15 to 20 to buy a $4,000 motor. It was an amazing deal 15 years ago. But I think you're right. This year, a lot of problems have been magnified. And I know, Adam, you weren't into it. It's either crate or not. And I was a lot that way. Just to clarify, these engines will be honed out to 20 over. But then with the dish and the pistons, and maybe, Terry, we can get back to that in a minute and explain the procedure, that they are going to be honed out a little bit to clean up the cylinder heads, or cylinder walls, I should say. But they will have a dish piston that'll bring the compression back down. And the comparisons we've done with these are saying they're going to be right in line with a brand new crate motor. But I think, Adam, the other thing I wanted to clarify to you, because we've just discussed this a bit, is I think we have so many divisions here, even in our neck of the woods, but in North America racing alone, that are so immersed in this crate 602 package that I think when nobody could buy the motors, nobody had confidence in the motors at the end of last year. I think that was a big glaring issue for us in the ODCC, us with the Action Sprint Tour, Terry from the sportsman side. It became a real issue that could really cripple the sport if we didn't take some action. So, I mean, that's where it came about. So, Terry, just quickly explain to us, we'll look at the piston. You can explain the 20 over theory and how we're keeping it equal with the original engine. Sorry.
So naturally, when you go to an oversized piston and you make the engine bigger, the compression ratio is going to creep up a little bit. So our 20 over piston that we're allowing to go over, the dish is actually deeper in there to take away CC, so it standardized the compression ratio. So basically, we're going to be at 9.5 to 1 at a standard bore, and when it goes 20 over, because the dish is deeper on the oversized piston, it's going to be 9.5 to 1 compression too as well. I also want to add too, Clint, is that we talked about this today, is that the engines are going to be whistled it's important that we have control on the compression ratio of these engines, and guys are not cutting their heads. So we'll be whistling these things on a weekly basis just to keep. We have to be able to keep this thing so the guys are not running away with it. And I'm fully prepared to get our tech guys up to speed and show them what they're looking for. So we have the compression ratio issue, we have the camshaft issue, we have other issues with fuel too as well. Teams are starting to run some E85, which is an unfair advantage to anybody on gasoline. So we're going to be going forward and checking our fuel with a hydrometer and making sure that nobody is running or mixing alcohol in with pump gas, and trying to keep it a fair level playing field for everybody. So the tech is definitely going to be stepped up in 2022 like it's never been in a long time.
Terry, how challenging has it been for you to go from one side of the fence, where again you make your money from finding the loopholes, to be on the other side of the fence, where you've got to be creative and build a system that closes all the loopholes? How has that made it challenging? How much fun has it been for you to tackle this?
Adam, you actually contribute to hurting the sport by doing what I was doing for a long time, because when you start cheating up these 602s, and it wasn't long after. So these things were introduced, like Clint just said, they were $2,800 when we first started. It wasn't even 1 year into the program, and we were already opening these things up and dicking around with them. So this is a long-standing problem that's been going on and on and on. Yes, and it is. To answer your question, Adam, it is. It's like being the criminal and now switching teams, and now you're the cop. But I think that in order to sustain the growth of our sport, it has to, we have to keep it so it doesn't get to the point where we extinct ourselves by spending too much on these engines. That's all. I want a fair level playing field.
I commend you for it. I commend you for it. Like you said, I don't want to call you a criminal, but you go from one side of the officiating fence to the other. It makes you the best person for the job, really, Terry.
So I really, that's the other thing too, is I got a little bit of feedback is that I was pushing forward to the opening up these engines for my own personal gain, for my own shop, but that's not the case. I'm not even on the rebuilders list. I think it's a conflict of interest for me to be building engines to run at my racetrack. So I strategically picked shops that are in the Niagara region that you can go to get your engine serviced, and I have no interest in working on any of these things. I think the other shops deserve an opportunity to make some money off this stuff and contribute to their business and our local economy.
Right on, Terry. Thanks for clarifying it up a little bit. Let's talk quickly about Humberstone meeting coming up this weekend. You're ready to get rolling on some cool stuff. And, what do your teams need to know about this weekend's meeting?
Well, I was planning on doing it at Club Belvedere in Thorold, and we had a large banquet area in the bottom. We were going to do it and keep social distance and, continue with the COVID protocols. But I made a decision today to move it to the Speedway. I'm going to be having it on the second floor in our bar area. And I have it broken down so it's one division at a time. And I'm hoping that nobody brings their whole family. So it's basically for the drivers and maybe one crew member, but it's important that it doesn't get out of hand where we're bringing the whole damn crew, okay? There's a lot of information I want to go over as far as our points fund, our payouts, key dates, and our scheduling and stuff like that. And I really want to brush on the street stock rebuilds with the ODCC, have some of the parts available there so they can have a quick peek to know what we're up against, and then just build off that day of just getting everybody up to speed of what 2022 is going to look like.
Terry, you and I have been working on a bit of a deal here that you've asked us. I'm going to throw this at you. You're ready for you announce your surprise deal that we've been talking about here. It kind of fits into some of the other news we've got going on here. Let's talk about the crate sprints. Planning on running them semi-weekly and crowning a crate sprint champion this season.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll be running the crate sprints for a championship. I just secured a divisional sponsor for them so this enables me to pay some decent money for the crate sprints to race at Humberstone Speedway this year. And then we're working on to a pretty decent points fund. So at the end of the season, we have something to go to the banquet with, and there's something to race for. So yeah, there's been a lot of hard work, and I'm really looking forward to the crate sprints running like a semi-weekly season at Humberstone Speedway. It's very exciting.
Awesome, Terry.
That's awesome.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. We'll be talking to you in the future, and good luck with your meeting.
Okay, take care. See you guys.
Yeah, cheers, Terry.
Just to clarify from the crate sprints, end of things, Terry came to us, said he wanted to have a few more dates. And, with the tour, Adam, we couldn't have 6 or 8 dates just at Humberstone. So we have 3 of them that are in conjunction with the Knights of Thunder and live on GeForce TV. Terry's other 3 events will be home track events, and his drivers will collect 6 nights worth of points, and they'll crown a champion. The sponsor came on today. That is a big thing. Can-Am has also agreed to be the first American track to come on. But before we jump into the Can-Am news, they tie together. One thing we're working on here from the Crate Sprints is something we're called the Weekly Crate Series. We're working on a national sponsor here where you're going to see Weekly Crate Series at likely Oshweekend, Brockville, Can-Am, and Humberstone to start, with options for probably 2 to 3 more tracks jumping on crates as early as 23 and taking part in the Weekly Crate Series. So we're working on a national sponsor, which will give each track about $5,000 for their point fund to stick with the Action Sprint Tour rules, our seals, and keep everybody building towards the same goal. So, Adam, it started out politicking, using my words and negotiating skills to get everybody on the same. But I think it's going to need some greased wallets to keep them all playing in the same field. But it's worth it, the investment. Some of our national sponsors, even some of the folks we've been talking to, like one of the meetings we went to in Mississauga, who want to be more involved in ground grassroots racing, they may be the perfect shot. But I'm working on something already other than that. So we're excited to have Humberstone on as a Weekly Crate Series track, joining Brockville, Oshweekend, and of course Can-Am. So throw up that screenshot, Adam. Spencer. I got a call right around Christmas, Adam, that Can-Am was interested in running crate sprints. They're going to take up the Action Sprint Tour rule package as well, and will be the first track in New York. And I think this is a springboard to a lot more in U.S., Adam. Can-Am announces their weekly new division. 602 crate sprint cars will join the weekly competition at the Nasty Track of the North. Panther Frameworks is committed to the division as title sponsor, and Donath Motorworks will be the 602 crate builder in New York State, our first one using the seals over there. I'm excited to have them part of the deal. For those that don't know it, it's geographically close to Brockville. So to me, it would be like Merrittville drivers crossing the river to race at Ransomville, vice versa. Can-Am shared a lot of the Brockville teams like Matt Billings and Ryan Poole and Ricky Wilson over the years. So they feel they're going to get a lot of that support once the border starts flowing freely. And I think it's going to be a great support system for Brockville and the Quebec tracks that are trying to build this division.
Yeah. Have you enjoyed working with the Bartletts so far?
Only had a couple calls with Tyler. They've been really good. Super excited to have them on board. Even have Sean and Brian Donath working with us from the Central New York side. I think you're going to see 1 or 2 more tracks jump on this before we get too far deep into it. But super excited for our guys. I mean, it shows for our teams that bought in that they're on the right path. We've got a lot of good things coming, a lot more coverage for the crate sprints. Our Action Sprint Tour schedule will be released on this show next Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. As we mentioned, Knights of Thunder's up. I've seen some people sharing it, so go check that out as well. Whew. We can move Can-Am off. Let's jump back up to Delaware. Payouts are up, Adam. We've both been paying a lot of attention to Delaware this season, as has the rest of the payment world here in Ontario. They made a big splash last season, continuing to do it. Payouts are up across the board. Their weekly payouts and their pay funds are up. They came out today, which is exciting news. Solid payouts, 20% increase over last season. What's your thoughts there?
It's fantastic, and great to see them do it all the way across the board with all divisions. So good for them. They're going to keep progressing. I've said this for a couple of years now, Clinton. If you're a race fan in this part of the world, you've got to be pretty excited with the people helping to push the sport forward. There's a lot of people in the right positions. $3,000 to win the points for the late models. That's nothing to shake a stick at. How about $750 to win the V8 stock, $1,000 to win the bone stock championship? I'm telling you, the crowd goes nuts for the bone stocks at Delaware.
Good car counts, obviously, too, so that certainly helps pay the funds. But good to see good payouts, rewarding the drivers for coming back week in and week out. A bit of a new track surface there for them, and we'll be looking to have Luke on and probably Alex Nagy here in not too much longer to talk about his involvement in APC and what we can expect for the 2022 season there coming up. I had something to add to that, but I forgot what it was. All right, let's jump into our buddy Twitchett. Rob Twitchett's here, Adam.
Sure.
Chazz Twitchett here. with a list of demands.
Yeah, I got nothing to say about his demands. But yeah, we can hear you. How you doing, Rob?
All right.
So Clinton, as you know, Rob was the crew chief for Connor this summer, racing the Canadian Vintage Modified. And Rob was very supportive, but he was also very critical of his driver. In fact, he was downright hard on his driver. So this plays out really, really well because we had a meeting last month. We went out to Burger Barn and had breakfast, and it was really cool. The whole Burger Barn team came out. Jay Hill came out, and we put together a plan for 2022. Because Connor has had so much fun. So my son Connor's had so much fun working with the Burger Barn team. He wants to be able to travel with the sprint car team a little bit. And Jay Hill liked the way the car looked. He thought it was pretty cool that he was getting some exposure at Flamboro Speedway, a bit of a new market for him. So in 2022, Rob Twitchett is still going to be the crew chief of the Canadian Vintage Modified number 44, but he is also going to be part-time driver of the 44 machine. So he doesn't have to put his money where his mouth is. He's got to put his talent where his mouth is. And if he makes even a single mistake, it's going to be under such a magnifying glass that it's going to be big news, Clint.
You got a lot of, I think you got a few crashes in you before he could really start chirping you, though, don't you, Twitchett? Connor had a rough year last year.
Well, that's what I think. It wasn't a very high bar. I mean, it's more of a tripping hazard, actually. But as long as they don't drive into the wall the first lap. Thanks, buddy. No, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, though. That's the class I grew up with as a kid, right? That's what I grew up watching. By the time my sister, her boyfriend raced, so she used to take me to the track as a kid and watch. Now he's my brother-in-law, and so there's kind of nostalgia there, right?
Yeah, what do you think about this $50,000 to win race at Flamboro? Yeah, I mean, you've been there a long time.
It'll be a death match. You will not find me in a car out there. Let's face it, there's probably 8 to 10 people that are going to win it. Nobody who shows up with a demolition derby car with a square roll cage is going to win. Nobody who goes out there and tries to win it on the first lap, they never win. It's the same group of guys who know how to do it, who know how to save their cars and stay out of the trouble. And let's face it, I'm not one of those guys.
So let me ask you a question. Did you guys go to this Burger Barn with your whole pitch and you had to make a pitch in front of the whole Burger Barn team? Or do you already have this set up?
I had talked to Jay Hill already. And more to thank him. So I was going to take Rob out anyhow and thank him for all the work that he did this year. It's been a lot of fun, but he put in a lot of hours. I wanted to show Jay Hill the respect that he deserved because we have huge thanks for the help that he gave. So we threw an idea out there, and I kind of had a feeling Rob might be interested in getting behind the wheel. So it worked out well. Jay was supportive of the idea. I've got a fire suit on order, Clinton. I might even get behind the wheel.
Oh, shit. Well, that'll be a good one. Twitchett, hopefully you can make your car handle better than the G-Force trailer on the way to Delaware. But we appreciate your efforts to get it there, and the show went on, as they say.
Yeah. So then the other side of that is if I'm out crewing and driving, I'm not going to have my car out for the duel on the dirt and all the other stuff. I'm still probably going to run part-time in Oswego, but Jonathan Ayrton is jumping in and running my car for duel on the dirt and other races, along with his own sportsman now too. So it's a lot of stuff going on in the same shop. It's going to be fun.
Okay, hold on. You're like 4'2", and Jonathan Ayrton's like 14'2". So how is this going to work? How the hell are you two monkeys going to share the same ride?
How did you think Rob and Connor and I were going to share the same ride? Like what?
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but man, like Jonathan Ayrton is like you're more well proportioned, Adam. So your height isn't so shocking Shocking. Jonathan Erda walks in. He's a tall beanpole. You're like, holy crap, that boy is tall.
He's a tall,
It's not
slim
tall
dude,
standing
that's for
beside you that I realized. But no, good to have you, Rob. We appreciate all you do. We appreciate what you've done for Connor and keeping him in line when Adam had to be out being kept in line by us.
No problem. I appreciate what you guys do every week here.
All right, Twitchett.
And
Thanks for
Connor
stopping by, buddy.
Connor just walked by into the kitchen, so hopefully he likes the news, but he doesn't have a say.
No. Till he pays the bills, Daddy's money's still cranking it out. So, all right, Twitchett. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Adam, let's talk about the Tulsa Shootout. You know, big race coming on, huge entry list for the up-and-coming junior racers of North America down there on the dirt inside the Tulsa Center, Expo Center.
Yep.
Kyle Busch and his son were there on the weekend, right? The youngster doesn't quite qualify in. They offer him a provisional. Wow, what a shitstorm that caused. Of course, the Chazz was there. He exposed it all. And next thing you know, they turned down the provisional, which they absolutely had to do. But, you know, that brings us up. Our provisional's PC. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So let's slow it down. I mean, I wouldn't say they absolutely had to turn down the provisional, but I'm glad they did, Clinton. I mean, I could see people saying, no, we want to get our son that experience, but I do think it would have been totally the wrong message in almost every way. So I commend Kyle Busch for doing what he did. Who is the Chazz? I watched that video at length, and I don't follow this sort of thing as closely as
you don't know who he is?
But,
because
no,
he's the type of asshole that I want to get on the show for you to fight with. Because you and him,
isn't he the one? Yes,
I do remember
you saying. Because I said I don't want to do much research about this guy, but bring him on. I'll fight with anybody.
See,
okay,
I have a beef, and speaking about bringing somebody on, let's bring on Stephen Ovens because he just joined us, and Stephen can jump into all these discussions. Stephen, the voice of Land of Legends, the voice of all our iRacing stuff in the past. Stephen, welcome to the program. Good to see you smile, buddy. Let's talk about some of these things. You know who the Chazz is. You know this situation. I'm sure, Stephen, you followed it. You know, first off, would not Adam and Chazz be the perfect type of personalities to duel it out?
I would pay to see that. I would absolutely pay to see this.
So we got to get Adam doing a bit more research. But anyways, Chazz is a guy who is pretty vocal. He's got a lot of followers on Facebook and social media. He goes out to these big dirt events and kind of asks the hard questions, doesn't really give a shit, doesn't care if he gets thrown out. He's a real controversial investigative reporter, if you will. Well, he happened to be on the scene. He started asking other parents how they thought about Busch's being offered this. So we don't really know the timeline about how it all came together. If I had to make an assumption, they probably got wind that they were going to give it to the Busch kid. Chazz was there, got everybody riled up. By the time they got back to the promoters, Busch said, wait a minute, we can't take it. Promoters said, you know, whatever it was. But the Chazz got thrown out now, so he's not welcome at the Chili Bowl. They threw him out, or the Tulsa Shootout. He said he's probably not welcome at the Chili Bowl coming up too. Craziness. You know, Stephen, what do you make of the situation?
It didn't surprise me to see Chazz kind of chase that down. And quite frankly, I think that, you know, once Chazz got wind of that, I'm sure it was his goal to get thrown out because now he's going to make videos about it. He's going after views. He's going after, you know, any attention getting type behavior that, and I'm not saying it's wrong. That's what he does. Like that, he is very, very opinionated, and you know, there's no middle ground with Chazz. And Adam's right, or Clinton's right. You know, he does ask the questions that somebody who's you know, maybe a little concerned about whether they'd get credentials to an event or not. Again, you know, he's asking those questions that some other folks may not ask. And, you know, you can look at that either way you want. But, yeah, I honestly, you know, him getting thrown out of the event, I mean, he's licking his chops at that point because that's content in his eyes. And now he's talking about going back to the Chili Bowl. And if they don't let him into the Chili Bowl, oh, there you go. More views, more content. So it's a win-win for him.
Long as they spell his name right. So in that video that I watched, Clinton, that you shared to me, he never introduced himself, and there's no logo, there's no signage, and I live under a mushroom, right? Like I don't. There's certain things I don't watch.
No, and you know, my beef with the Chazz, and this is why I'd like to get into a debate with them myself, is you know how we bring in superstars into our big events, like at our weekend, we'd pay a Kyle Larson or a Casey Kane to come up and race, and he just thinks that's the worst thing out because we're paying them to come in. But I have the other attitude. I mean, we see a lot of our pavement fans who maybe not be a dirt fan, but they'll come to see Casey Kane or a Christopher Bell race. They've never seen this kid on sprint cars and realize he's a million times better on dirt than he ever will be in a NASCAR. And you know, that's where all his passion lies. We bring all these new fans out who we're creating new dirt fans because of these superstars. We're not blowing smoke up their ass and pumping up their tires just for the sake of it. I mean, it works. So I think there's so many arguments to have with Chazz. I think he'd be a hell of a polarizing figure to get him up to our weekend one night just for shits and giggles.
Sure. Yeah, he's dead wrong on bringing in big names, but whatever. You have a business to run. Your goal is to make money. To make money, you spend money. You spend money on people who are going to help you bring in more. Like, it's not a complicated formula, but it does bring us to the question, are provisionals PC? So most people would think PC is politically correct. No, are provisionals also promoter's choice? There is a big freaking difference between a provisional starting spot and a promoter's choice. Right?
Yeah.
You with me here?
You know,
so
Kyle Tomaski sent in a viewer question. Sorry, Adam. Put up his viewer question when Adam's done there, Spencer. Sorry, because it's from these talks. Sorry, Adam, did I cut you off there? I didn't mean to do that.
No, you did. That's all right.
No, Kyle Tomaski's question is, okay, so figuratively speaking, as a promoter at our weekend, we paid these guys X number of thousands to come in to our weekend and race. In return, we know we're going to sell seats in the stands. Worst case scenario, all three don't make it to the A main. That's the only reason why the fans came to see these guys race. Do you give them a, quote, provisional to be able to start, or to be fair to your weekly drivers, and these three have to sit out just like anybody else would have to? Well, the answer in that situation, from my standpoint, is very simple. You know, it all starts at your driver's meeting. You know, you can't be changing things on the fly. But at our drivers meeting at these type of events, we stand up and explain to our teams, okay, look it, these guys have been on the billboard for 6 months. If they don't get in, we're adding them. Just everybody be clear now. These guys are racing tonight, no matter what happens. So, I mean, is that a promoter's choice? I guess that would be a promoter's choice because we're telling it, but we're advertising in advance. These guys are racing. You're not saying, oh, well, they didn't make it in, throw them in last minute. I mean, I'll tell you straight, I had Glenn Stiers do that to me. He invited someone to race up who we weren't really exactly qualifying as a superstar driver. He thought they were, wanted us to cram them in at the end, and Doug Leonard and I were flipping out because the credibility of what we have. And I said, Doug, it's just a one-off on a Tuesday night. Let it go. And I took the boss aside and said, you cannot do that. We do that at the Nationals. We pissed away 15 years of credibility. I said, just don't ask us to do that again. It's just a bad deal unless we've come out ahead of time and said, hey, this is a situation. Right. I think in those situations, with the poster on all three, you'd have to be an idiot not to realize we're going to put them in if you're in the field, right?
You're going to find something to do with them. But like I say, a provisional is where you're running a series or a season and people earn the right to get an additional spot in the show. It's almost like an insurance policy. Promoter's choice is much different. Like when Bobby Allison used to come in Barnstorm, Richard Petty, you'd bring those people in for different events. Yeah, you're putting them in the show. Like you say, you just want to be clear to your racers about it, how that's going to go. And that's the same, Clinton. Let's tie this in. Can we go straight to the streaming conversation from here?
Well, yeah, because but hold on. I want to get back to this. I just want to add one thing on this. I have a big problem with promoter's choice in a lot of ways. If there's no criteria attached to it, it becomes a popularity contest. I've seen it in some of these big memorial races in the past where the families are sponsoring and they have a choice to put somebody in. I mean, to me that's bullshit. If there's no criteria, hey, top 12 in points are all gonna get in this race because they follow the tour every year. Dirt used to be top 12 on the tour and top 10 home track are guaranteed to race this tour race when the tour comes to town tonight. I mean, that made sense. It was on paper. We all knew where it was. But I do have an issue with them just saying, okay, sponsors or promoters can pick one guy at the end just to add. I'm not a fan of that.
As an example, let's say let's not use Oshweekend because you wouldn't get that many modifieds. Let's talk about a big modified race at Fulton Speedway, Victoria weekend. So you're going to get a ton of cars. You invite Buzzy Rudeman to come up because he's a big story, he's a big nostalgia. He's 80 years old. You're going to get him in the show. That is a promoter's choice. Like if that's something you're choosing to do, it's a very different situation than a provisional, and it's something you'd have to put out again ahead of time and say, look, guys, like this or lump it. If you do something for a certain reason, it's your freaking sandbox. I agree with you. It can shed credibility, but these people like the Hahn family kicking Chazz out, their sandbox. If you piss someone off or if you go about something in a way that's not productive, and I've done it, you pay the price, and you pay the price of whoever makes the rules.
Hey, the Chazz is chiming away like mad on our Facebook stream. I think we need to find a way to get him in here. Spencer, how can we do that? What? Can you message him on the Facebook stream?
Why the hell is Chazz watching our show?
I don't know. Somebody must have tagged him. What's that, Spencer? Spencer's going to work on it. Let's talk about streaming. And if we do get Chazz on, we need a whole hour with him coming up. So Chazz, if you're there, hang with us, bud. We're going to try and get you a Zoom link here. Steven, let's talk about, this streaming situation. I think it was you that sent it to us to talk about the streaming situation where guys are saying that he was streaming. Spencer thought it was cute that he said he called Facebook. So here it is. Saw an asphalt promoter go on a rant about how streaming has killed racing at his track. He says he called Facebook, which is, hey, Mr. Zuckerberg. Anyways, said they gave him the info that 600 people locally had streamed or watched a stream from the track. And someone said, I didn't know we could call Facebook, but okay. Also threatened to have phone streamers arrested or escorted off by police. Do fans streaming from a cell phone really hurt a track's bottom line? My answer is no. The same people who are going to come, regardless of who's holding a phone and streaming their uncle out on the track. I've never stayed home from a race because someone was, quote, going live. Have you? Now, Steven, you guys have started streaming at Land of Legends in New York. We've done it Oshweekend for the past few seasons prior to COVID. That's why we brought you on to talk about it. Did it kill the racing at Land of Legends? And I think this is kind of ridiculous.
It's quite ridiculous, and I'll be honest and say that the only thing that I was nervous about doing free live streaming was, would it impact the grandstand attendance? I didn't think it would impact it a lot negatively, but I was hoping that it wouldn't, affect the promoter's bottom line. And to my surprise, and it's probably not to your surprise, but to my surprise, attendance went up 15 to 20% this year. Like, it was just something I kept noticing every time I looked out the window was, man, middle of summer, dog days of summer, school's out, people are going camping, people are doing this, doing that. Like, you have to remember, these motorsports venues are competing so highly right now for different entertainment venues. People are always looking for something different to go out and try and do. And it blew my mind that a week, 2 years ago, when I looked out the window, it would have been like, oh man, it's kind of a light crowd tonight. Maybe we need to try to do something different on this night next year. That never happened once this year. Like, we were up 15, 20%, year over year, not COVID year, but, prior year. And it was insane. I honestly, I was pleasantly surprised with it. And, the thing about it is, the streaming, they were doing a pay-per-view prior to this past year doing the free live stream. But one of the reasons I went to take the job to announce at Land of Legends was because they were doing live streaming. I came from a racetrack where they didn't believe in it. They thought this exact argument, that it was going to keep people home. And not only was it going to keep people home, they didn't even want to do a pay-per-view because they were like, well, it's great. We could get the money for the pay-per-view, but they're not going to buy our hot dogs and they're not going to buy our soda. And that was the argument. And I sat there, I couldn't believe that was the argument that was being made. Like, the marketing person and myself went out and got a sponsor. We had all of the equipment covered to do it. It was going to be straight profit for them. And they just couldn't see past the fact that, oh, people are going to stay home. And even if they buy a pay-per-view, they're not going to buy our hot dogs and soda. And it just, it was maddening to me, because at that point, that was 2018. I'm like, man, you guys got to get, like, we're already behind the ball here. And like you said, you guys have been doing this for a while now and seeing the benefits of it. And I just, when I saw that on Facebook the other day, I try to steer clear of riling Facebook up too much. And I've had a lot of other things going on lately to even think about racing stuff. But man, I saw that post in that group and it blew my mind. It's like, is this really still a debate? Like, do we really think that streaming, whether it's somebody with a cell phone it's terrible video, do we really think that that's keeping people from coming to the track? Because if we do, I think we need to look in a lot of other different areas to figure out why people aren't coming to the racetrack.
Bang on, man.
Pretty well said.
It's if you're not, if you don't have live streaming now and you're not thinking about it, or you're of that mindset that this is going to kill my racetrack, you're already 15 years behind. Like, it just, my first exposure to this kind of thing was working for Matt Thomas at Oswego Speedway. They were doing, I think it was called Asphalt Vision back in the day. And I was doing that when I was in college in the summertime, making a little extra money. And it was, that was when kind of pay-per-view on a local level, started firing up. And, now we're not even having a conversation about pay-per-view necessarily. We're talking about, how many thousands of people are watching every week and helping our marketing partners. And guess what? The exposure you're giving to those marketing partners, I can tell you, is making up for whatever you're not making on a pay-per-view. You guys were 1,000% right on this stuff. And it is transformed what we do at Canandaigua right now, for sure.
On that note, Stephen, two things. What we used to showcase when we would get letters and emails and comments about, hey, my sponsors all gave more money this year because they were able to see it on the stream. We get so many of those comments, we don't really put them on the show as much anymore. We definitely appreciate it. But one thing having a stream has done, it's really tightened up the way we cover our own show. It shouldn't make a difference. Live is live. You should be as focused as you can be on putting on a good show. But the fact that you're on a stream, a broadcast, I find for my purposes, it makes me a little bit tighter on when we come in, when we go out, how you organize the event. Just things run a little bit more tidy, a little tidier.
100%. And I'm not afraid to admit it. You're right. Like, it shouldn't really affect how you approach an event, but it just does. I mean, because the way we look at it is, right now it doesn't go out to broadcast TV for us. It's going out on our streaming platform, and we'll do a couple live look-ins on social media on Facebook. But I mean, we approach it like it's going out on live television. I mean, that's kind of how we look at it. Like, we need to be tight. There can't be dead air. Dead air is nails on the chalkboard for me. Hey, play a 30-second commercial. Let's go to the pits. Let's go to Doug Elkins. Something. If there's 10 seconds of dead air, I'm muting my mic and turning back to the producers and saying, WTF, guys, we got to put something on the air here, because, there are people that are watching home, and if you're not showing them something, they're going to the bathroom, they're switching to watch something else. That's just the way. And you're right. It definitely has impacted the way we try to, keep things tight, for sure.
Awesome, man. We feel the same way. You fit in with our crew good. We're the exact same. What is going on? How come we don't hear or see anything right now? But it's good to have you with us, Steven. Good to see you smile, brother. Happy New Year. All the best to you as we move into the new year. Quickly, anything we need to know about Land of Legends going into 2022?
We just released the schedule here a little bit ago. Check that out on Land of Legends Raceway on Facebook. It's at Land of Legends NY. And we're free streaming again. We're going to start announcing marketing partners that are coming back, and we've got new ones and marketing partners that kind of dipped their toes in the water last year that are now jumping in with both feet. And again, it all goes back to what we're doing on the live stream and what we're giving them on social, during the week and things like that. So, it's an exciting time of year. It's not race season yet, but we got the banquet this weekend. So we're going to celebrate our champions, and hey, guess what? We're live streaming the banquet too. So we are in waist deep here.
There you go,
Good to
man.
have you with
Enjoy
us.
the hell out of that, Steven. And keep up with the Facebook posts. I've been enjoying those. I hope it's been therapeutic for you. Keep that up.
I appreciate it, guys. And I know there's a lot of folks that are probably watching tonight that have sent messages and all that stuff. And I just want to say I can't thank you guys enough. Everybody that's done that. It's been so helpful. And there's it's not a great thing when you come to realize how much support you have in the racing community. It's unfortunate circumstances, but man, the racing community's really wrapped their arms around the whole family and our circle of friends. And I can't thank everybody enough. It's been a trying winter, but we're ready for spring.
We're here for you, bud. Take care.
Thanks, boys.
Steven Ovens, Land of Legends announcer and one of the advocates for streaming. So, Adam, just quickly there, let's talk about that. Streaming even is farther down from the business side, from the pay-per-view side. Look what Brett Deo's doing, been able to fund all these races from the flow racing end of things, put up great paying events. If anything, it's helping out, if not, certainly not hurting. We are going to run late here tonight. We still have a lot of things to talk about. I'm told we are getting the Chazz with us here. And Adam, you better pretend you know who he is when he comes on.
Why?
No, I'm kidding. There he is. Wow.
No,
that's
good. I did listen to him for 9.5 minutes when you sent me that video. So I've done all sorts of homework, Clint.
Let's bring him on. Chazz, welcome to the
on?
show. You probably don't know who we are. We're Canadians up here. We're dirt racing aficionados. We've got lots of stuff going on. We do watch your stuff. You've stirred up quite the hornet's nest in the last few years in the racing world. Let's talk about your weekend at the Tulsa Shootout and how did that go? Maybe you can string together the timeline of events for us, because that's one thing we're not picking up on social media. When did they say they were going to give them the provisional to when did they turn it down? When did you get thrown out? All stuff in the middle.
So I don't know. Is my microphone working correctly? I hope it's plugged up correctly. We got good audio. Man. Okay. Yeah. So I made a YouTube video actually describing the timeline, and I kind of tried to share that around. I don't know if anyone watched that, but from the moment that I got, so I know a lot of people were saying I was just there to cause trouble. I mean, there was a lot of things prior in the week that I could have caused some trouble on, but I just ignored it. There was something with the truck driver who was racing a hyper chassis that got a seniority list for no reason, just because of their name. But I was trying to be a little quiet and hold my composure on that. And just so happened, the team I was kind of doing some work around, they were across from the Joe B. Miller pitting area. So I was basically around Kyle Busch all week long. Actually, on New Year's Eve, I was joking with one of the guys who was doing some stuff with him. I was like, you should set up, I was, saying, set up a little fake fight, or something like that. Well, if you think Illuminati, I guarantee you, if you gave this whole scenario to like Alex Jones, he would say we're all Illuminati and went in on it together. But prior to the restrictor B mains going up, which if you saw the live video where I talked about Brexton Busch getting the actual provisional, that was on the lineup, and that was 3 B mains lined up. So I was on the actual, walk-in area where they lined the B mains up. That was 3 B mains behind. So there's still 3 B mains before they were going to rework the track and do opening ceremonies. Now, at that point where I'm making that video, there was already an original talk where they were going to award Brexton Bush the provisional. And I was actually at the trailer. I watched Han walk over with a lady, talk to Kyle Busch. Somebody walked up to me and said, "Are you going to say something about this, profanity word?" I don't know how y'all's. If it was me, I'd be going off. I don't really hold back. I like to use the word authentic, although some people think it's used. But
have at it. Say what you
no. It's all right. It's all right. There we go. Other faces. I feel better when I could see another face, especially the guy with a better hairline than mine on the top left over here. Or well, I guess top left. But so they talked, and that guy came up and said that they were giving him a provisional, and I was like, really? So when they split up, I went to the lady first, and I said, "Is there a reason? Excuse me, ma'am. Is there a reason you are giving him a provisional?" And she said, "Oh, we'll be awarding several provisionals tonight." So I was like, "Well, I'm not getting anywhere with her." And so I walked over to Kyle Busch and asked him, and he said, "Well, I guess they just really want us in the show." And then me and Kyle Busch actually talked for a minute there. And I think Kyle Busch, based on what he said on Twitter there about the outlaw drivers and the dirt racers having, equal pro ability, I think we could have some actual common ground. But once I started talking about how, nobody can go up and race you, that's, because it costs so much money, it kind of got broken up. But so at that time, they had awarded it to him. And that's kind of what was going around. People were getting mad. And then I heard over the intercom, just like everyone else, that the top 4 were going to be put into the A main. So it was no longer top 2 transfers from the B. It's going to be top 4 transfers from the B. Then there were parents and everyone mad because they could kind of just see that everybody in the world was trying to get, or everyone in the building who runs things was trying to get Brexton Bush into the A main without causing too much of a fuss. So they were upset about that. And then there were teams that had already loaded up their cars because they're trying to push everyone out. Once you're done, they kind of want you loading up your trailer and getting out. I mean, and if you were 3rd or 4th in the junior sprint B main, you're out. So then they went ahead and reverted back to just 21 cars and Brexton Bush going into the race. And then that is when I went live because everybody's running up to me. "Are you going to say something?" And like I said, I've been trying to be quiet, really trying to be quiet. I've been kind of nice this last year, especially if you compare 2021 to like 2020 or 19. And I haven't really tried to, ruffle the feathers too much. But at this point, I was like, well, this is worth reporting. And a lot of the people who've seen my previous videos, when they watched what I said in that video, they're like, that was really soft. It wasn't really you going off. You didn't, profanity lace everything. You didn't just tear the house down like I did last year when they gave Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe extra practice sessions for the first time in Chili Bow history that I can remember. They did that last year in favoritism for some last names of some NASCAR drivers. But anyway, then that was, like I said, 3B main still remain in the restrictor class. So all this happens. I guess my video gets out there. People are getting really mad. I heard a few stories of dads going in there and losing their mind. And then opening ceremonies was about to occur. This is probably almost, I would say almost an hour. I mean, you could maybe, like, based on memory, it's always hard with human beings, but you could at least say 30 to 40 minutes. And I'm walking up to go film opening ceremonies to continue promotions of everything going on there. And then I get called up and then I get thrown out the building. Walk in, they say you're getting your armband cut for slandering the event. That was what I was told. And then I go get my stuff. I walk out. I go and record my video where I had told everyone who had been watching all night, hey, I know y'all were looking forward to like pre-race picks and stuff that I had been doing earlier. But hey, they just kicked me out. And then that's when they made this Brexton Bush decides to reject the provisional. And that seems to be the story. And that's the only reason I made that YouTube video was to describe this timeline of how maybe to save face, they're telling everybody that it was offered and then declined, but everyone in the building experienced this timeline. Everyone in the building experienced it. If it was offered and declined, it wouldn't have been switching back to 4 or in and then back to 21. If it was just, hey, we want you in, no, never mind, we're humble, it would have been way quicker than that. So that's kind of the timeline of everything that happened at the shootout for me. Now, obviously, like I said, I've been sent news articles and things all day how Brexton Bush gets new fans over, humble choice, which I don't even know how they're using Brexton Bush as the choice. We all watched or looked at the Twitter. How many 6-year-olds can conform sentences that well? I saw the joke, that comment was all over the internet. It's like, we know the kid didn't write it. It's kind of sad that this kid's being balanced in the deal. And like I said on my YouTube video, I made not a living, but a life, not over kids, but adults causing adult bullshit. That's what I've had to do for 3 or 4 years now is call out what adults bullshit is in the racing world. Well, like when bullshit happens, I get on the camera and say this is, and just go up on it. It's not the kid. They're innocent.
No, for sure. And you can do it damn near full time. I mean, Clint, we're lucky as hell for what we've got up here, partly because you now run a lot of race series and race tracks, but there was a lot of nonsense and you can call that out. The question I got for you, Chazz, because I'm less interested in the Brexit. Like, I see what happened to you. I see what happened with the Bushes. I'm more interested in you. How does the racing scene look to you moving forward? Like, do you get welcomed into most of the places you want to go?
I'm getting some background noise right now. Is anyone else or?
Can you hear us now?
Not on my end.
It's like a YouTube video playing or something. It ain't on my end.
Oh, that's weird. Unless
was you watching a video? Was it coming through or? No, I closed.
No, you're now. Adam, ask that question again.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Do you get welcomed into most venues that you want to go to, Chazz? Like, I want to talk about you.
I would say it's probably 90-10. I mean, depending on the event, like if it's a regular track, like pretty much my message has been, I heard somebody earlier say, they don't like me because I don't like these big names being brought in. I mean, I like big names being brought in, but I think for some reason, and I talk about the co-trickle effect a lot. And when I say co-trickle effect, I reference sprint car racing in particular. And historically, prior to the co-trickle Jeff Gordon era, the superstar sprint car racing was a sprint car driver who won championships like a Steve Kinser or Sammy Swindell. And then when co-trickle came along, and Jeff Gordon made it reality with Dale Sr., you had Cole and Rowdy in reality with Gordon Earnhardt. It just changed the icon for the sprint car fan base. And it changed the career destination for a sprint car driver. If you are Donnie Schatz, you're a second fiddle icon to a Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, Chris Bell, Kyle Larson. You're no longer the hot shot icon that everybody wants to line up. This is why late models never had this effect. That's why they race for so much money, have so many drivers that aspire to be a big time late model racers. Because if you're a big time late model racer to the fan base of dirt late models, you're the king dog of that sport. Whereas the sprint cars, their stars live in a shadow of this Jeff Gordon shift effect. So I try to say if sprint car organizations and tracks and fans would start, trying to build big names with the names that they have, instead of trying to live on, I joke and say NASCAR welfare, trying to syndicate off to get popular in NASCAR and then get fans and attention through the welfare of bringing him in, that there's a more sustainable way to build up stars and actually get respect for your regular racers too. I mean, and then all you have to do is bring in the money factor, how much it costs to be a NASCAR driver, which a lot of people just ignore all the time. So a lot of regular promoters of tracks really like me. A lot of some series promoters like me. I run into issues when I deal with tracks or people who kind of have power in the system. Like World of Outlaws loves this situation because they are able to stay on top. Late models, they don't really care because their situation is still like an open market. But if I go to heavy outlaw territory like Pennsylvania, there's there's a lot of clicks. All you got to do is follow money. And there's a lot of clicks out there that kind of control and run stuff. And you got sponsorships that run a lot of things and have a lot of money in different places. And anytime somebody wants to talk, they just buy your mouth shut or they kick you out the building, you know? And that's kind of, like I said, regular track, regular people. Yeah, they're supportive of it. But when it gets kicked over into, you know, more of the structure of the sport, or say, you know, they got a relationship with Kyle Larson and they want him and they love him or something, that's when it becomes like a little bit more combative. Now, fan wise, I mean, it's half and half. Driver wise, it seems when I go in the pits, I'd say probably 75% of the drivers that listen like me a lot, because they understand that they could be a Tom Brady, but they just didn't have no draft. They didn't have no 6th round draft pick. They just weren't 16 years old with $15 million to go be a NASCAR driver. You know, how many dirt drivers, honestly, if they were given the path to some of these guys with the money and ability, even local racers on a local scene, we see talent, but they just didn't have that money to go be a Kyle Busch or a Kyle Larson or the opportunities. And there's a lot of guys up there that aren't really that good. They just had the money to get them there. You can buy your way to a starting quarterback role in racing. And a lot of people in the regular world, especially, don't know that.
That's a good point.
I think that's fair. Clinton, just I'll let you in here in a minute, Clinton. But if you get a chance to go to the Chili Bowl, Chazz, have you ever had a conversation with Tim McCready about NASCAR?
Yes, me and Tim McCready are actually pretty good buddies in a way. I'm not going to say pretty good buddies, but every time we see each other, we say hi, and we've had long conversations. And we had one at Volusia this year, actually, because I ran a big block Sportsman up there in New York last year for about a month and a half. I raced up there. And that kind of, you know, they already kind of knew me in a way. And then I got pretty big racing Land of Legends weekly and was bringing a lot of eyes to that. But me and McCready's talked a lot. And yeah, NASCAR, I mean, he tells me the Richard Childress story where, you know, he just walked in and said, bring this amount of money. He said, Richard said, I love your family, love your dad, respect everybody, but you ain't got the money. Sorry. Basically at the end of the day. So, I mean, that's what I was told from him. But I mean, it's really about respect. I think if you can whoop everyone's ass, everyone knows your name. And in this racing world, it's projected where people just don't know. They just don't know any better. You walk down the regular end of the street, the regular guy, if he's ever heard of a dirt car, he's going to consider it flag football of racing because that's how it's projected. You know, your 25-year-old sprint car racer is looked at as somebody who failed in the high school and college of racing and didn't get drafted. Like that's the idea, because that's what happens in every other sport.
But let it be. That's my advice isn't worth shit. Chazz and Clint, so sorry that you haven't had much.
Right.
Don't sweat that, because people like you, people like me and Clint, I embrace this. Like Steve Kinser went to NASCAR. He couldn't cut it. It wasn't his thing. Go back to where you're the king of sprint cars. Those are the people I would rather be around. That's the race. I'm not saying sprint cars. I'm saying grassroots. I don't want grassroots to become like NASCAR because it'd be just chock full of the most bullshit you can imagine.
Well, I mean, like I don't really want to I don't want to defend Steve Kinser and his NASCAR venture, although it was a ventured team with Kenny Bernstein. It was kind of a throw together team at the same time, which was a real good time to, in that shift of icon era that I'm talking about, to take the king and embarrass him in front of everyone in the Cup Series with a developmental team. Great marketing. Right at the same time that CART and Indy were splitting up. Just beautiful timing. You know, Penske just got back in. You could go look. Hey, I honestly blame Bernie Ecclestone with Formula One for all this, but you see, you don't want me to start dropping knowledge in companies and Carlyle groups and BlackRock investment hedge fund. I mean, hey, like I say all the time, motorsports is a microcosm of how the real world operates. You know, it's all media moves what you think, and then money moves what's actually happening. I mean, that's what goes on all the time. But I would say to that, Steve Kinser won $50,000 at the King's Roll in 1984 when Dale Earnhardt Sr. won 42 or 47 at Talladega. But we don't get that money no more. And I think that's possibly because we don't have that real world relevance that we once had, and we don't have that respect from our own fan base. I think if the sprint car fan base was like the late model fan base, we would be worlds ahead right now. We're just not. The sprint car fan base is big, but it's superstar that it must come out and wrap around. I don't know if you've been to Williams Grove when Kyle Larson's trailer gets there, wrap around the corner while Donnie Schatz is next to him, empty with 5 or 10 people. That shows you who the superstar of this damn thing is. And it's not a sprint car racer. You could put Tyler Reddick's trailer next to Bloomquist. It ain't ever going to do that. Tyler Reddick's from dirt late models, but it's not that big of a deal. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. You don't want it to become corporatized. And I just think that there's a lot of money out there grassroots wise that could make it bigger, and have better payouts and more payouts to where the driver doesn't have to leave dirt to make money. Because when I talk to David Gravel or any of these guys who have attempted to go to NASCAR, their only reason is we want to make some money and not die. Like, that's kind of like, we don't want to have such a high risk, and we want to make a little more money. But if we were self-sustainable, if our fan base would support it enough, if we could build our fan base a little bit more to where it's not just the diehards, because the fans in the stands are getting a little older, it's not just the diehards. Every successful business works on 20% diehard and 80% rotational, and we ain't been building 80% rotational for a while. We're lucky. There is good to the Larson effect and the Tony Stewart. We're lucky to bleed some of these guys over, or we would be even in more of a traumatic situation. But there are some things that could change to where we don't always have to be dependent on those guys to bring in fans. That's all I say.
Awesome to have you with us, Chazz. I mean, we're going to need a nap after this, brother.
My face is getting red. Back. When somebody tagged me, and I heard the deal being talked about, it's got red face, blushed, and then some. Go ahead. I'm here. I'm fine. We can go.
No, Clint has wanted me to argue with you for about a year and a half.
Oh,
and I apologize.
That's fine.
I haven't watched.
Let's debate. We need Skip Bayless. I've been begging some of these big time NASCAR guys, please, let's just start the ESPN First Take for dirt racing. That's what it needs. It needs a debate show. It needs a real debate show.
Let's do it. It's not going to be tonight because I don't. It's like someone.
The mirror or the camera does make me look horrible. I need to adjust this or something, But
listen, I don't need to be attracted to you, brother.
No.
But I'd love to.
Go ahead.
I'd love to have the conversations moving forward. I like your takes. I didn't say I don't like you. Like you said, you come on. I don't want to disagree with you talking about bringing in the money guys. And then on a lot of things, I'm sure I'd agree with you entirely. But I can guarantee you I'd have a lot of fun having a conversation and seeing where it goes, because there's a lot of stones we could uncover. But let's set that up moving forward. We do this every Tuesday night. Let's set up a bit of a rip moving forward, where we can have you on, pick a topic, and let's tear it up.
Chazz, there's a million things we want to talk to you about. Our show is usually from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern here, so we're way over time as it is. But we could go on for another hour. Why don't you come back and meet us next Tuesday, and we'll be talking a lot more. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else that's on your mind that you want to get off your chest while you got you here?
No,
and all the Canadians are watching.
I'm sincerely worried about this Chili Bowl deal. I have not heard from anybody. They all got my contact information, the people up there. Of course, I used to work at Devil's Bowl for 6 years. I used to be almost an alumni member into the Chili Bowl, kind of just a part of the family, because I was like announcer down there. I ran the lot in Devil's Bowl, RPM websites. I did a lot of stuff. So they know who I am. And that may have been why they think they kicked me out, because they know me from the get-go on stuff. But I do not know. I literally put out a post today, should I go? And a lot of people are in support of it. If they kick me out, it could be a bigger deal, and I heard somebody say earlier, when they kicked me out, that's what I wanted. That really was not. Like, when they called my name, I was like, oh shit, but it was bullshit. Just like the Chase Elliott deal last year in Briscoe, when they gave him extra practice sessions. That's not right. And when I talked to Kyle Larson about that later that night at the bar, he's like, why are you worried about them? They need extra practice sessions. Well, the guy in the damn back who just rented his first midget for $2,500 and never been in one before needs an extra practice session too. But you're going to give this, and this is why I call it anti-American, because that's worshiping monarchies. When you start worshiping families and their kids, that's a monarchy. Like that's like what people left the UK to get away from. You can't, how can you pledge allegiance and worship monarchies? Like everybody has to be treated equal to make this thing work.
Right. I don't disagree there, but I'll have an argument with you another day about why racing doesn't have to be right. It's not a democracy. Racing is not a democracy. I could get behind what you're saying, but I kind of want to throw the other side. If Kyle Larson owns a racetrack and you're going to say it's not right what you're doing, and Kyle Larson, go F yourself.
Right.
The grandstands are full. The people like what I'm doing. I'm not here to be fair. I'm here to be a business operator. I'm here to be a promoter. And that's where that fine line is. And I mean, you've found yourself on the wrong side of the wrong line because you've pissed off the person who will let you be at the venue to begin with. I hope it works out for you because I think everything needs an opinionator, someone who will stand up and speak their version of their truth. I think it's good for business. You've got yourself in a bad spot right now where it might cost you a trip to this year's Chili Bowl, but I think you will get a lot more name recognition and hopefully you won't have to deal with that again.
Well, I totally disagree with that, Adam. Hold on, Chazz. I got to take this on.
Okay.
You need fairness. Are we running wrestling here where we're scripting bullshit?
I thought it's a competitive sport. Sport.
Exactly.
Sport. Is it a sport or a hobby?
It is a business. Do not fool yourself. It is a business. Okay, if it's fair,
I get it's a business, but it's a business based on a competitive entertainment sport.
How much money does General Motors give you, Clint? I want to come run the crate sprint class, but I want to run a Ford. That's the fair thing to do.
No, it's not.
What the
it's
hell?
A crate 602 class.
Let me drive my Ford. Screw you. That's not fair. Was GM paying you to run those?
No. In everything, there is rules. Like they put the rules out. You have to agree to them when you register for the season. So the rules are the rules are whoever promotes or owns the track. So when you promote the track and you say top two from the B mains are going to the A, and then you want to switch it up for a little bitty superstar kid, you just fucked up. You are in the wrong at that point. You could say it's for business. Then throw the rule book out, or just throw
the rule book out. The rule book doesn't mean dick all.
Here's where you get the problem.
This is where the debate lies because we have a split in racing right now. Is it more about business or entertainment or competitiveness? And if it's about entertainment, then have your stage fights and let the guy you want to win dope his tires. And when you're testing fuel, all you got to do is put the powder into the tube before you pull the bad fuel in. That's because it's a dye. There's plenty of ways to do this. I mean, I used to be in the back stages. That's the thing that people don't like about me, and some of these people in positions don't like me. I've been announcer, I've been racer, I've been management, I've been media, I've been driver, I've been in pits, I've been in shops, I've been in every element that there is on this sport. And I know how all the little tricks work. And that's what they don't like because I've been able to touch every sector of the sport and understand how it works. So I'm able to talk about it. It pisses them off.
That's right.
See, Adam,
you're not alone. You're in good company.
If you're like the WWE and you pay all of your racers and your race teams to come in and you have them all on contract and they all agree to come back every Saturday and play by your scripted bullshit and you changing the rules on your whim because you're running a quote business, hey, good on you. But there's no way in hell you're going to get racers to come back in an open market, open competition deal week after week if you keep throwing bullshit at them and doing the kind of shit that Chad calls out weekly.
If you're gonna do it, then take the bullet. If you're gonna pull the trigger to shoot the bullet, you gotta be able to take the shot too. I mean, like if they wanted to stay on that Brexton Bush deal, they should have known that the whole damn building's about to blow up when you make this call. And you just accept
And
that
that
everyone's
is-
about to talk shit and everybody's going to say something and everybody's going to do something, and you just take it and you're running your business. So, I mean,
it's risk versus reward. And I think they miscalculated a little bit there. And Clint, I will read your post in the Action Sprint Tour chat group, if you would let me, about how I think your first line in that was, "This is not a democracy." So you're absolutely right. You got to do things that are right and fair. And once in a while, you got to stand up a little bit taller than everybody else and say, back the hell down. We've built something great here based on my decisions, and we're going to keep doing that. And I'm going to do things that everyone agrees with most of the time. But once in a while, you got to shut the hell up because it's going to be done my way. Once in a while.
Yeah, but none of those "it's going to be done my way" would ever be in the spirit of unfair competition on a whim decision that's going to screw somebody else over. It's just not the way we operate.
When did I say that? Don't
he's saying, Adam is saying that he reserves the right to make that call in a business sense.
I still say
that's what he's saying.
Anyway,
well, I mean, it will be eventually. It will be eventually. Yes, I think the main reason they kicked me out is because they were trying to keep what they were doing in the building. That little, I'm going to do what I want for the best of the business in the building. Then when my video put what they were doing out to more people, that's what I think. When I think back, that's probably what did it, because that video got like 40,000 views in 10, 15 minutes, because of the title, obviously.
You put a magnifying glass over what they had done, right?
Yes.
And you called people out. As far as I can tell, you didn't say any mistruth. But sometimes people don't like that. This is
right. Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden's real, I mean.
All right, Chazz, we got to go, man. We got a few more topics to get to. It's super cool that you dropped by. Spencer's got your info. We're going to stay in touch, and we'll get you on next week, and we'll continue these debates from week to week, and we'll follow up your saga to see if you got on the Chili Bowl or not.
It will be interesting.
Right on,
Thanks,
man.
Chazz,
Thanks
for
coming
being with
on.
us.
No problem.
Where can our viewers catch your videos and your social media, and where can they catch up with you?
Well, my original The Chazz page that had the 20,000 followers that I built up over 3 years was taken away from me in February because I called Gage Martinez a slut in a comment section, which Gage Martinez, the fake bang bang, and Facebook recognizes like, no more, can't be doing that. So Long Live the Chazz is my Facebook page. Long live the one that I'm able to post on. LongLiveTheChazz.com is the website. And then YouTube's what I've been trying to build up. That's where I have the whole Brexton Bush story timeline. I talk about it there. So those are pretty much the outlets. Twitter, I don't even care about Twitter. That's where Wikipedia lives, and that click is a whole nother ball of wax. I hope Anton slaps him in the face again, so.
Let's have some fun, man. It was good talking to you. I want to talk again if you're willing to come on, because I think it'd be a blast.
All righty.
Have a great night.
See you soon, man. Wow, Adam. Interesting character there. Definitely a polarizing figure in the motorsports world.
Yeah. But it was a fun chat. Like he's out there. Like he's obviously a pretty smart dude, but it's fun because perspective changes, right? I could enjoy that. I could dig into more of that.
Lots of good stuff. Let's follow up on some of the comments. So you guys let us know what your thoughts are on that. And a lot of people seem to agree that things weren't handled properly, but it looks like they got it sorted out in the end. Send a shout out to a couple of our regulars. Hey, Shrek. Hey, Robbie. I know you guys are there watching, sending comments. We appreciate you being with us each and every week. Adam, there's some questions coming in about why there are no Knights of Thunder races at Merrittville this season. SOS and the Merrittville management got together. They booked up all the sprint car races before we made any dates. So that's all good. We wish them the best. And the SOS will be hosting the races at Merrittville this year. And we're quite cool with that. We've got a 10-race series, 5 double night races. So 5 pairs of races back-to-back on the Knights of Thunder this year. All races live on GeForce, all races with Action Sprint Tour companions. So we're excited about that. And that 10-race series is going to be big. 3 of the races will pay $10,000 to win. A couple others will pay $3,000, and most of them are going to pay minimum $2,000. So excited about that. Check that out. We'll discuss that a bit more and have hopefully our champion from last year on next week, Jordan, to talk about his plans and what the Knights of Thunder look like going forward this year. Did we do our Burger Bar video of the week yet? No, we didn't. Let's jump into this one, Adam. This is kind of along the lines of.
Let's show this, and we're going to talk about this next week because this is a long, long conversation.
We can just save it.
And we'll show it. Yeah, no, show it. Show it because it's a great video. But I want you to ask yourself as you're watching, is this fair?
Turn it up, Spence.
Look at this, can he take out Tanner Fouls over the hip? Here comes Chase Elliott.
Start it from the
he
beginning,
gets
Spencer.
the win over Tanner. It is Fouls.
Chase Elliott's on the inside.
But look at Chase Elliott. Comes in on the inside. Chase going for the pass. Look at this, can he take out Tanner Fouls over the hip? Here comes Chase Elliott. He gets the win over Tanner Fouls. Wow, the ZipRecruiter car powered by Go Nitro. Hey, guess what?
So he got into him right here on the side on him, and they took it back. Right? They took the finish away from him.
They did.
I guess it depends on what your rules are. If your rules are no contact, obviously they had to take it away. You know, if the rules are just like our rules.
And I think that's the key. You have to, as long as you know ahead of time what's allowed and what's not allowed. But you look at different forms of racing, and there are some forms where, nope, that's no go. You take that move back. It never happened. You change the winner as they cross the line. So pictures are going to be tough to explain that show Chase Elliott just ahead of Tanner Faust. But adhering to the rules, Faust gets the win. But you think that has become so acceptable in the sport of NASCAR. Or has it become acceptable in the business of NASCAR? Big freaking difference.
Good debate.
What's allowed, what's not allowed, and all the way down the hill. Like that goes to, for any level of racing and on any surface.
Good debate. Comment. Let us know what you think. I think it's a fair call if the rules are the same. We got a few more topics to get to. Thanks to everybody for hanging around as long as you have. Wow, it's shocked to see everybody hanging. I think everybody's hungry for some racing chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Shaw, I think you're absolutely wrong. I think Doug Leonard would not have made a decision on that move.
Well, wait a minute. If the rules say no contact, he would have to make a decision on that move.
No, wait a second. If the rules say no contact, then that's an easy decision to make. I'm saying Doug Leonard, based on the events that I have watched him officiate and based on the things that I have seen happen, I don't think Doug does make a call to disqualify a Chase Elliott in that situation.
Okay, so if contact's allowed, no, that's a good pass for the win.
That's what I mean. Like the same thing. It's just you can put so much. And Clint, that goes down to watching go-kart racing at Flamboro Speedway with the Waterloo Kart Club, and I don't understand at all how some of the officiating works there. Like I try to think the thought process, and it just doesn't register in my mind.
TJ Robinson watching as well. Hey TJ, thanks a lot for stopping by and saying hi to us. How about this new rule, Adam? This is a new series that I saw pop up over Christmas. The Open Racing Challenge Series. Throw that one up, Spencer, if you can. I'm going to try and find it here on my phone so I can read along. This situation I thought was interesting, Adam. This is a new set of rules they've got here. And this is the Open Racing Challenge Series is the newest and possibly most controversial racing series coming to short track dirt and asphalt racing in New York and Pennsylvania. The series has no chassis rules, no engine rules, and almost no body rules. The primary rules are a DOT tire and 3,000-pound minimum weight. The goal is to bring back the spirit of super modified and wedge-late models from the 70s and 80s while allowing new technology like electronic fuel injection, variable valve timing, and turbochargers. While unlimited horsepower is theoretically possible, it will take creativity and skill to figure out how to transfer it to the track. Similarly, expensive lightweight parts will have limited value with the high minimum weight of 3,000 pounds. The ORCS is about coming up with and executing on the best ideas, not buying the best of everything. The series coming together with half the 10 of 12 race schedule on the calendar. The goal is for the class to be a premier second-tier show offering an alternative for the creative racers who want something different than spec crate racing classes. What do you think about that, Adam? I thought it was unique. I'm worried it will end up a lot like the mod stocks were in the early days where they just look like a dog's breakfast of a class out there. But if you can get your head around that's what it's supposed to look like, I think it's a neat concept because just in my circle, I know a lot of second and third generation race families who have tons of speed parts under their bench that they cannot get out and use right now. And this would be the perfect way to bring them out and play.
Yeah, no, it could be cool. I try not to get too supportive of new divisions in racing because we have so damn many divisions now. But maybe that's
Agreed.
something that it needs, right? You know, it is unique. I'd like to see what creations show up at the racetrack. I like the DOT tire rule. That's kind of cool.
It all comes down to car count. If they show up with 18 to 24 at their first race, it's a smashing success. If 7 3/4 cars roll in, you shit the bed. All right, moving on. Chili Bowl, we skipped over that. Just go back, just show a screenshot, Spencer, or the eye test as you called it today, of the sheer list of entries for the Chili Bowl coming up. There's your listing. Just search Chili Bowl on the internet through Facebook or social media. You'll find it out there. Find your favorite driver. Christopher Bell, it will be racing Thursday. Larson will be racing Tuesday with a bunch of the other superstars in the middle there. Check that one out. That's out there. We'll be talking about that next week. Change your perspective. Let's talk about this, Adam. One driver was asked to actually was disqualified from a race at the Chili Bowl because their numbers and graphics package did not meet the scorer's request. So this led to them inviting the team up to the scoring tower to see what they actually saw. And I think it brings a new perspective. And we tried this a few times. I mean, our buddy Roger Lazon came from Lillooet, BC, and the little racetrack he raced. They had a night every year where drivers and officials were forced to switch roles. So one driver had to be the tech guy, one driver had to be the flagman, one driver had to be the race director. And I think they all got to learn a whole new perspective on this. Do you have that screenshot, Spencer? If you do, throw it up. And it just shows the view. So there's the view from the scoring tower as the cars are whipping by. And it says sometimes it helps to see the races from a different perspective. Jake Galusha was sent off the track because the number letter combination on his car was not readable, despite being told to fix it. Timing and Scoring then invited him to the tower to see what they see. This wasn't done to embarrass, insult, or belittle him in any way, but to simply offer a view into what they see and what they have to deal with. They've stated before transponders are great when they work, but they can fall off, have a faulty battery, or just stop working. That's why every race had to be hand-scored at the Tulsa Shootout. They appreciate Jake accepting the invitation and nothing but respect for the racers and teams who make this event possible. Simply put, there are two sides to the event, and sometimes it helps to take a look from the other side. Neat perspective, Adam. I'm sure their team had a new perspective on what the scoring and everybody goes through.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Next one's yours, Batty. Last topic. The Madden influence. You wrote that in. I'm not sure where we're going with that. And then we have the Teamers vid. Vlog number 3.
Yeah, you know what? Just a commentary. I had forgotten how much I enjoyed John Madden until all of the tributes got played this past weekend. And I got chatting just briefly today with Greg Callan. But I said to him, I said, when I watch John Madden and how he interacts there, it reminds me a lot of kind of what we do. Like we're passionate and we take what we do very seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. And I just thought it was so refreshing. It had been so long since I heard John Madden or seen some of the work that he did. I forgot how much I loved him, like how much it made me realize what a commentator can bring to a product.
You know, it got me thinking back to the days, man, what I would kill to hear him call an old Dallas Redskins game, John Madden on Thanksgiving. We used to skip school and go home and watch it because it's up here in Canada. It's a school day on the Thursday, but, man, we used to love doing that. Solid show here tonight.
Yeah, I can't think of a situation now where I get that same feeling. Like where you're so drawn to I just can't.
It's one of those deals where you don't realize it till it's gone, too, A couple other guys like that. Keith Jackson used to, doing the college football back when I was a kid. It's just that voice you're never going to forget.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out tonight. It's a late show. We almost went 2 hours tonight. We're normally only supposed to be 1 hour on. We appreciate everybody coming around.
Way past my bedtime.
I can tell you're getting tired there. Garrett has his video coming up, Adam. Do you know what we need to know about this one? How should we set up the video to end the show?
Another edition of the Garrett Teamersma vlog series where he takes us behind the scenes and shows us what he's all about and what he's doing on that Wave Freight number 17 through the off season.
See, I was going to do that and say that exactly, but I thought I would screw up Teamersma and get in trouble again, so I just threw it over to you to end it.
I understand. Pass the buck, buddy. That's why we're such a team.
Everything is rolling along here in the Canadian motorsport scene. Lots of schedules coming out, lots of drivers' meetings beginning. Before we know it, it'll be hot and sunny again. We'll be back at your local racetrack enjoying your favorite sport. Thanks, everybody, for being with us here on the Tuesday. Thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. We'll be back at it. I think this is show 112. That means over 2 years we've been kicking at it every Tuesday with the exception of a couple of vacation days in the middle. We appreciate you all hanging out with us, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. Thanks a lot.
Okay, the brake rotors are done, and we're one step closer to finally getting the car ready for next season. Hey, welcome back to the vlog. It's Christmas Eve today. Glad you guys are tuning in. Glad you liked the first video and the second video. We're keeping them up. Lots of things have been going on here at Teamers of Motorsports. Been keeping very busy, but today my dad and I are in the garage just doing some work on some tin kit, just some interior work, and I'm going to be changing over some studs and brake rotors because in the last race we had a little bit of an issue, and we have a little bit of a cracked rotor right here, and it's time for us to get some new rotors on the car. They're a little bit worn out, and the crack was just an excuse to finally get some new ones, so let's get into it. And just like that, all of the studs are out, holes are gone, rotors to go ready to go on the shelf because we're not going to be using this cracked one. So on to the second rotor. Okay, got all the studs out, both the rotors. Now we can take the short studs out of these nice new shiny rotors, use the studs that we had in our old ones, put them in the new ones. Gonna have to open up the holes a little bit, but all just for strength in the front end and a wheel alignment. So we'll get into that next. Let's start putting together the new ones. So one rotor down, one to go. Oh, gotta drive them through a little bit.
Well, it only grabs a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to put them in the press, and with the brake clean it all, get rid of the oil, put them in the press, and do it with Loctite.
Yeah, so let's throw some Loctite in the threads right there, I'm assuming.
Throw it
Right
on
in
the
there.
knurl,
Okay.
and then you got to push it in.
Okay. So one down, one to go. Tend to fit a little better when the hole's the right size. Okay. Both the rotors are drilled out and they're both ready to have studs, put them in them. We're gonna have to use a press to push them in, so that way we know they're going in straight and they're set properly. It's about time to get ready for Christmas dinner. So that's all for today. We're gonna go on day 2 for getting these rotors done. Today we're just gonna press the studs in. Gonna start working on that, finish up these rotors and get them ready to go in the car. So we pushed the studs through, put them all on, they're square and straight, and now there's just one more step left, as we need to tap holes for our hubcaps, our custom made Teams of Motorsports hubcaps. Set off our rotor. We need to put some holes here and here so we can place the cap on. Let's move into, I guess, just time lapse of me drilling the holes. Okay, the brake rotors are done, and we're one step closer to finally getting the car ready for next season. That's going to be all for this video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to keep up with us on all of our social media. If you missed our last vlog, it's on the Race Rivals podcast, episode number 111. Make sure to watch out for us in the next couple weeks. We're going to have a lot more videos coming out. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.